And we are live. Hello, everyone. Carlos here. Welcome to my weekly What's Up in Archaeology on the 17th of April 2017. I bring you a couple of articles I thought I might find interesting. They're linked to my other videos which I have done. The first one, he deals with cold adaptation. I'll just share the link. The Inuits, or how they used to be called, the Eskimos, which is a bad term, I think. Why do they survive so well in the Arctic Circle, where the temperatures are extremely cold, and their diet is, of course, rich in marine animals and so on. Very little vegetable matter, but yet they maintain their body temperatures within survivable limits. Right, they are adapted to that area. This article from Science News, the article itself is correct, but they've been looking at some of the parts here, like the breaking news. There are a few things which I found interesting, like the solar-powered water extractor from dry air thing that Thunderfoot's already debunked. So it's interesting. Not shit happens. But let's get back to this article. This from last year again, close to December 20th, from the Molecular Biology and Evolution of Oxford University Press, of course. Excuse me. In the Arctic, the Inuits have adapted. See if I can right. Adopted. Have adapted to the severe cold and predominantly seafood diet. A team of scientists have followed up the first natural selection study in Inuits to trace back the origins of these adaptations. The results provide convincing evidence that the Inuit variant of the TBX15 and the WARS2 region in the nucleotide, specifically a couple of genes, first came into modern humans from an archaic hominid population, most likely related to the Denisovans. That's the preamble. The Arctic, the Inuits have adopted a severe cold and predominantly seafood diet. The first population genomic analysis of the Greenland Inuits, a region of the genome containing two genes, have now been scrutinized by scientists, the TBX15 and the WARS2. These two regions are central to cold adaptation because they generate heat from a specific type of body fat. And they found an early candidate for this adaptation, right? What does these two genes do, right? It obviously produces proteins, because that's what the functions of genes are, to produce proteins, to produce God, I wish I had the geneticists here from Saturday's stream with Sandre. He would have been cool. It basically they seem to have produces a body fat that's different to ours, that it provides a higher temperature generation, because fat is stored in our bodies as a storage mechanism of the excess calories that we intake. When we intake more calories than we use, our body stores it as fat to be later used in times of stress. Of course, our increasingly sedentary lifestyle that modern lifestyle has means that we are storing more calorific intake, energy, basically. That's what fat is. It's an energy source than we consume. That's why we're getting large. So the team of scientists led by Fernando Racimo, Rasmus Nielsen et al. These are the two main, the leaders, main scientists. They followed up a first natural selection study in Inuits, tracing back the origins of these adaptations. To perform the study, they used the genomic data from nearly 200 Greenlandic Inuits. So it's quite a good sample size. It's quite representative. Just having a drink. And so then they compared it to the 1000 Genomes Project and also ancient hominid DNA from Neanderthals and Denisovans. So they published the results in the Microbiology and Evolution, the advanced online edition. I haven't seen it, but I'll look it up, and that'll be the actual paper, the actual scientific paper that this article's based on. They found that the evidence that the Inuit variant of the TBX15WARS2 region first came into modern humans from an archaic hominid population likely related to the Denisovans. Now, the Inuit DNA sequence in the region matches very well with the Denisovan genome, and it is highly differentiated from present-day modern sequences. We don't have it, except the Inuits. Not just Inuits, it'll be quite clear. And from other archaic groups whose genomes, though we can't discard the possibility that this variation was introduced from another archaic group whose genomes we haven't sampled yet. Fernando Racimos is the lead author of the study. What could this mean? How do you pass on genes? You either have a distinct group that moves into an area, adapts locally, and through various mutations and etc., you get the genome to become prominent, because the survivors will be the ones to reproduce. So they carry on and pass that gene to the future. Well, you mate with them and breed with them, and that's how you pass that selective genes. In this case, the possibility, and it's not a possibility, it's an actual fact, that Denisovians, we have not human Homo sapiens sapiens, especially in the eastern and American populations, have some Denisovan genes in their makeup. The Europeans don't have that. The Europeans have the Neanderthals, which I've said before. The Andaman Islands have a unknown hominid ancestor, archaic ancestor of us, or a cousin of us, of ours, Homo sapiens something. And the Africans don't. So these two genes are only found in the Eastern Asian populations and American populations, and also more predominantly in the Inuits. As the authors found that the variants present are low to medium frequencies throughout Eurasia, and at especially high frequencies in the Inuits and Native American populations, but almost absent in Africa. The TBX15 gene is known to affect the human body response to the cold. So it produces a protein, some sort of protein, I would expect. Not a geneticist, unfortunately, but that's most likely what it would cause. Some form of protein that, I don't know what it does. And is associated with a number of traits related to the body fat distribution. Yeah, can regulate where it is stored and what type of fat is produced. The authors speculate that an archaic variant may have been beneficial to modern humans during their expansion throughout Siberia, across Beringia, that's the strait between Asia and the America, or Alaska, It's called Beringia, the Beringian Strait. Used to call Beringia. There was a landmass about 12,000 years ago there. The sea level was low. Then it rose up and it covered the land, and we don't have Beringia anymore. And into the Americas. The research team also worked understanding the psychological role of the region. He's talking about the region of the genome, not the region of the area. There are many, which many of the interests in science concern the factors that help determine the body mass index, the fat, and the fat metabolism. They found that an association between the archaic region, that's the gene expression of the TBX15 and WR2 in various tissues, the fibroblasts and the adipose tissue. I think they are the fat tissues, if I'm not mistaken, or some muscle type. I don't really know the technical terms, unfortunately, but I'm sure someone later on, excuse me, in the comment section after we finish this will enlighten me and us. Anyway, they were observed by that methylation patterns in the regions of the Denisovan genome are very different from those of Neanderthals and present-day humans. It means that the genes are different. Our present-day Denisovans and the aforementioned peoples, the Inuits and the Americans, the American Indians, American Native Indians, but not in Neanderthals or Homo sapiens sapiens. All this suggests an introduced variant may have altered the regulation of these genes, though the exact mechanism by which it occurred remains elusive. What they introduced, how the genes were introduced, it's easy. They had sex. Basically mated. Denisovans and Homo sapiens sapiens mated naturally. Some I've said this before, that I even said in last Saturday's video with Sandre. Neanderthals and humans did mate, we know that, but there was a difference. If a male Neanderthal and a female sapien mated, they wouldn't, because of the X chromosome, they would not produce. It was very likely to not produce a viable offspring. There is regions in the X chromosome, X chromosome that are not the same, so they're different. The X chromosome in each of the two subspecies are different enough to make the baby unviable. Now, the same is not true for a male sapien and a female Neanderthal mated. Then the difference would be more viable. Then the male would introduce the male sapien would introduce the X chromosome to the female Neanderthal, but then it would not be as critical, and it would produce a viable offspring, and that's evident in us containing the Europeans containing the DNA of Neanderthals, and then in the other areas that I mentioned, Denisovans. So that's how it would work. Now, if the mechanism, the exact mechanism, how the genes were spliced in the mating, the development of the fetus after the mating, so they had sex, after the fertilization of the egg, then I don't know how it would occur. They're saying that they don't know how it occurs, but the evidence adds to a remarkable number of recent examples of ancient interbreeding, of course, and we're going to find, hopefully find more physical evidence of Denisovans, and the other one which which I mentioned before, the Andaman Islanders. There is also the EPAS1 genome, Miklocus, the position that it gets higher adaptations from Tibetans. They think that maybe it was passed on by archaic humans to a modern gene pool. If you guys want to read up more, this article, this journal, Science Daily, is a good source because you can see here recommended articles. You can click onto any of these, and they are very good to keep reading. The Native Americans adapted to cold, mixing through archaic humans. Studies from helped by Neanderthal. Study the Tully's human adaptation helped, and on etc. etc. You can read up more, and it's not too bad. Just the breaking news bits is a bit. Just surprised me when they found out when I saw about the debunked extraction water extraction from using a what's it called? It's sort of basically a dehumidifier from Berkeley, none other. No, not Berkeley. From oh shit, missed it. Never mind. Let's I digress on that part. Just want to say hello to the chat before I go on. Hello, Gunny. Hello, Warped. And Gaius. Ave Caesar. Yep, chat is as cancerous as I like. Thank you guys. I love you guys for the chat. Make it completely completely cancerous. It entertains the folk. The next one. This is I've already sort of covered this one. I made a video about it not too long ago. On cannibalism, right? You know, yeah, this article. It's I'll just share it again. Share this one. This article from Psyorg. It's also a very good. Yes, Gani. Aliens did it. I'm still fucking. I am waiting for them to contact me. They owe me a ship about the size of the Enterprise. I would accept, and with teleportation and food replications as well. I could even have a holodeck. So I hope they do contact me and get me that ship. But let's get back to the article. It's up. Okay. Early human cannibals, more than just a meal. It's an update. Basically says that cannibalism was widespread between all humans, including our species and all the other hominin species. Now they've calculated. I won't read it. The rest of it just basically says that there was cannibalism, and argues that we are not very nutritious. Of course not. And here they did it. Click on it here. I think that's a bit better. Yeah. Basically, they calculated in the calories of fat and protein in a human body, an average human body would have, right? A total of 126,000 calories of a person weighing 55 kilos. Bit lean. I myself weigh about 85, so I'd have a few more calories than him to give. They divided up the torso and head, 5,400 calories. The upper arms, 7,500 calories. The forearms, 1,700. The skin, 10,300. Do you know why the skin's got so much? Because that's where most of the fat is located in our bodies. Most of it. There's some in the thoracic cavity where all our organs are located, and the skin has a lot of fat. The thighs are more protein calories at 13,500. The calves for 4,500 also protein. The brain, spinal cord, and nerve trunks. Well, there's a lot of fat there, fatty acids and protein as well, especially the bone marrow. No, the bone marrow comes after. There we go. Skeletal muscle and skeleton, 25,300. Skeletal muscle, 32,000. The fat, 50,000. But I'm sure that they sort of rounded up all the other bits, like the skin, around the liver, parts. I think that's the fat in that general thoracic. You look at this diagram, doesn't it remind you something? Reminds me when I go to the butcher and I see the chart of the cuts of meat. So I think they've employed a butcher to actually draw up and say, where would you cut up a human if you were a butcher? Well, you'd first cut off the torso and head. You can separate that. Cut off the limbs like you do in the chicken. You cut the wings, the thighs and drumsticks, and then you got the body in general. Chickens you sort of cut off the heads because they're not very appetizing, but you still have the neck, right? And then you open it up. You open it up. Each section you have the skirt. You have the brisket. You have the tenderloin. That's basically what these guys have shown. Now, of course, humans are not very nutritional because we are an omnivorous animal, and we are more. Our bodies, its fat distribution and the way it's made up, it would be more equivalent to a cat. A cat, I mean, hunting the large cats, tigers, lions, etc., or the dogs. In fact, the wolves, the Cape hunting dogs, the dingo, even dogs in general. Their meat, our meat is not. It's not really. Sharks don't eat us. They do, but only because they take the first bite. They think it's got fat. Where most of them, like the great white shark, it doesn't attack. It investigates with its teeth, and it bites into people, especially on a surfboard, because when he looks up, he thinks it's a seal. It's the blubbery morsel of snack that it feeds on mostly. It takes the first bite. He finds just fucking gristle and bone. He breaks teeth. There's evidence that they break teeth because there's just not enough mass there to prevent the teeth actually hitting the bone. And the shark teeth are, even though they're fucking razor sharp, they are quite brittle and they could easily break off. That's why they grow. They keep growing in rows from the back to the front. So there we are not very consumable. And the article goes on. Why did we die, our people? Basically saying they did findings help flesh out the idea that cannibalism among Homo sapiens, as well as Neanderthals, Homo erectus, and other hominins, was suffused with cultural meaning. Basically, in this saying that it was their culture to eat humans, but why did they eat them? I presented my evidence in my last video on a video I made about Neanderthal cannibalisms in Belgium and in Spain. And why did they do that? In Spain, there is evidence that they would eat their dead. They didn't kill them. They would eat their dead in cases of extreme hunger. But in north and in Belgium, the north of European areas where the Neanderthals lived, it was ritual. They performed. It was their belief system, probably. It even says it here. What is it? Oh, I can't find it now. Shit, I should have read it a bit better, but I know that. It basically says that, here it goes. Research suggests, including Neanderthals' rich cultures, evidence of artifacts, stories, things that they basically added during rituals. It's like if you, even in modern human societies, cannibalistic societies, which there are records that they written records, etc., that they performed cannibalism, like eating the brain, to impart especially like in Papua New Guinea, even in the Amazon areas, and some of the Caribbean islands, Caribs were cannibals, by the way. Just so you guys know, it's Caribbean Sea, where the West Indies, etc. When the Spanish and the Dutch and the Portuguese and the French and went there, they basically wiped out the local populations of cannibals. They were cannibalistic. They didn't. That's one of the reasons the Spanish did do that. It's a bit of history. They did do that was because they were cannibals. If they weren't cannibals, they found in the mainland Americas, the Aztecs, the Incas, etc. They didn't wipe them off. So cannibalism to a Christian, to all Abrahamic religions is an abomination. And so yeah, they did that as a ritual. The modern humans actively hunted. The ancient humans did not actively hunt. He goes on to say that they didn't hunt because this article makes a little bit of joke that where is it? Moreover, human prey, as wily as the hunter, would surely put up a good fight before being snapped into fillets. He's making a bit of a joke here. And kilo for kilo, wild boar, horse, bear, 3 times have more calories and fat and protein than us, which basically it says mostly skin and bones. We have mostly skin and bones, and but he's assuming, this article assumes that they actively hunted. No, they didn't. Only Homo sapiens. There's records that they actively hunted in very isolated areas of the earth. Like I said, Papua New Guinea, Amazon, and before that the Caribbean islands, that the natives there. What else? Oh yeah. See here, sucking the marrow from a leg bone or gnawing on a spleen might be a way to affirm territorial control or pay homage to a deceased family member, Cole says. The consumption of the food in this scenario is a kind of bonus. More broadly, the study suggests that our cave and savanna-dwelling cousins were probably far more sophisticated than we suspect. That's no shit Sherlock moment there. It's a bit of a light-hearted article here. I'm just waiting a bit of time. Hang on, and he's a little bit busy because I have a third article, and just want to use a bit of time, so I'll continue reading. The human brain is very a reason why we don't eat ourselves actively, well, not anymore anyway, is that the prehistoric humans developed some immunity to diseases known as TSCs, the mad cow disease. The only reason an evolutionary adaptation would develop if you were overexposed to the pathogens. That's the earliest confirmed case of cannibalism found in a cave in Spain features Homo antecessor. That would be Homo heidelbergensis, and dates back nearly 1 million years. Yes. And you have mad cow disease, Kronsell something disease, and it's been shown in people of Papua New Guinea who practiced cannibalism got a lot of those cases of mad cow disease type variant, human variant of that. So yeah, you can see here, if I click on to the next, an article that continues on, that Neanderthals were cannibals. Goyer in Belgium, I mentioned that one. My video, I did that, and in Spain as well. This is I think I've used this article. It's there anyway. I'm not going to start my other article until my guest comes, but I'll see if I have a. And we have him on. It's perfect timing, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
I tried to time it as well as possible.
How are you, Tim?
I
Tim
am
or
doing
Sage?
well. Yeah, whatever you want to call me.
No, it's not. No, I'll tell you your preferred pronouns, my friend.
Well, my preferred pronoun is God, Master, and the Exalted One. But
that's cool. I'm a emperor, ruler of the universe, and the shy one.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly. No, I mean, Sage is basically just my nom de plume, so Tim will do.
Tim will do. Okay, Tim. Everyone, this is my just organizing. This is my good friend Tim Kronsell. That I got it right, didn't I, Kronsell?
Yeah. As close as possible without actually speaking Danish. Yeah.
I try to. I have some pride in my pronunciation of really difficult names. I try to practice them, but I forget. But though that's my problem. I forget my names. But not you. I've seen you. I've interacted with you enough to not forget your name. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. This article is about Rome and Hadrian's Wall in particular. It's slightly different from my field, my specific field. And it's I want to have your intake on the strategicness, because this basically was a defensive strategy used about. Did you read the article, by the way?
Yeah, I read the article. Yeah. It was pretty good.
I found it interesting. How up until recently, it's not about 10 years that I think I've been noticing articles coming up on Hadrian's Wall or longer, because they made that movie Arthur.
Yeah.
With what's his name?
Clive Owens, I think.
Clive Owen, exactly, based on some excavations they did in one of the forts of Hadrian's Wall. And I love that. I love all of archaeology, obviously, but that sort of said, yeah, it's plausible. Better explanation than the other ones.
I mean, it's very possible, at least. I mean, there's. Yeah, no, I have very little to say to the movie. It's certainly a possibility. The timeline doesn't really hold together, but.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I mean, leaving that out, the theory is fairly decent.
This is just the movie that I mentioned. The movie, just a little bit of context of or some interesting trivia that I have in my head. Sometimes it just comes out.
Yeah.
But this picture, countryside, that I'm showing now, I'm sharing the screen. Yeah. You can see the encampment. There's possibly the fort. The actual wall that goes on into the from bottom to top. I think that's the wall. Yes, it is the wall. Yes.
Yeah.
The embankment. It's like a pit. Then it rises up in the area where I'm trying to see if I can see. Well, it'll be delayed for them, but this green area here before the forest in the foreground, the background. I mean, that would be the north. So, because yeah,
The land of the wild pigs,
yes,
to be
and
perfectly honest.
yeah, it's amazing that after reading this, I sort of went and read some other
Yeah.
bits that um the structure itself. It's really interesting how the Romans didn't just build a wall and just put a fort here and there and said okay, but it's an argument that walls do stop invaders, but not in the way that people think.
No, that would be maybe the Chinese wall if you absolutely had to. But
well, not even that. I studied that, and the wall wasn't meant to stop invaders coming in. It was meant to stop invaders taking the plunder out.
yeah, exactly.
But in this case, you have it's primary is a physical barrier to slow up the crossing of raiders. It's not to stop them, to slow them down.
Yeah, but that seems. I actually kind of like this article because it seems very. That's not why I like it. It seems to agree with me about Roman military tactics. That's not why I like it, but it does seem to agree with me in Roman military tactics. What you always got to remember is Romans was primarily an army basing themselves on heavy infantry. Heavy infantry is really, really bad at defensive warfare. So the whole concept of the wall to keep out everyone would be pointless. The only thing that makes sense for me, sort of militarily, was that if the wall was built exactly as the article say, to slow people down until the various legions and auxiliary troops could be joined together to fight a pitched battle.
Yeah, exactly. They stopping the enter from destruction and plundering purpose. The way they build it, they have a series of alternating forts.
Yeah.
So I don't know at what distance these main forts would be. The actual wall's not that long because the where they built it is probably one of the most straight. What's that word?
I think it's 70 miles long. I can't.
Yeah, that's
I can't
the
remember
narrowest
off the top
point,
of
one
my
of the
head.
narrowest points in the UK or the Great Britain thing. So you have 70 miles. Have a major fort, every say four or five, because we need 600 men housing, not just the 600 men. That's just say 600 men, but what about the rest of the entourage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would actually be really, really surprised if the men at Hadrian's Wall were actual legionnaires. My best guess is they would be either. Of course, you also have to remember that for a lot of the time there's the Antonine Wall a bit further north. But my best guess is that the soldiers up there would either be fairly raw recruits or auxiliary troops. Basically there to stop small band of raiders from coming in to plunder, or at least to stop them before they go out to plunder, and to create strong points that any real invading army would need to deal with, and so slow them down until the actual legions came up.
Yes, because the mile castles. A mile castle is not our mile.
No,
it's the Roman mile.
Yeah,
I think it's 1.7 or 1.8.
Hang on. Let me just look up because I got a book
Yes.
on the subject.
It would be the league, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it?
It's a little less actually. A Roman league is again not the same. It was 80 Roman leagues. and that's about
Ah,
70 miles. It's about 70 miles,
yeah, exactly.
give or take.
So, and that was manned by 12 to 20 men. Lookout towers. They also, it says here in the article, which I found interesting because I didn't know, honestly didn't know, that they also had forward towers.
Yes.
The quote unquote enemy territory
Yes.
observation towers. Uh, that would be and also a point that then the invaders or the attackers would first have to deal with those, and they could send smoke signals. They could send runners. They could see them and send runners or something back and give them a much enough time
Yes.
to prepare a defense, or not a defense, but an actual counterattack.
I think there was. Oh, I can't remember. There's about. How is it? Let me just see if I can remember correctly. There was supposed to be one fort every mile,
Mm-hmm.
with 3 or 4 bigger forts with room for a cohort to stick around in, and then that cohort send out the people for the various. But I don't think they actually. Hadrian's Wall is not my
No,
explicit
yeah.
speciality. You would probably have needed to get Mardius Filius to sort of really
Yeah,
get
well,
the.
yeah, I think he's on a stream at
Yeah,
the moment. So.
I know. I'm not saying he's available. I'm just saying he would be. I know about it, of course, but
Yeah,
he's the expert
he's the expert. Yeah,
in that particular part of it.
like me, I know just the minute bits of it.
Yeah,
You are much more knowledgeable about this than I am.
yeah,
Even though this is archaeology, this is what archaeology is also about. This why I like these. Sometimes just a change of pace in my because they're just not making enough articles about Neanderthals, Homo sapiens sapiens, and Denisovians interaction.
yeah.
I want them to find the missing, um, the missing,
Link.
no, the missing hominin
Oh yeah,
that cousin that we have that the Andaman Islanders have their genes of.
yeah.
Oh God, I'm waiting for that one.
Well,
And more
go
evidence,
dig.
more bone evidence of Denisovans. Because at the moment we have 3 teeth, 3 molars, and the tip of a finger. That's all the evidence we have of them.
I mean, yeah. Well, things will happen as we keep digging.
Further on, they mentioned those posts. They found that, especially at the Roman name for it, Segedunum.
Yeah.
Segedunum. Yeah. Or
Wall's End.
Wall's End. They found that those system of rows of holes in the ground between the wall and the defensive ditch, and I think that can be, yes, if it's entangled with sharpened branches, it is just another way of protecting the actual wall, because that they would have, yeah.
If they build the wall, of course, they built the wall of stone. Stoneworks instead of a marching camp, which would basically just have been sharpened stakes.
Yeah.
But if they built the wall by standard Roman fortress style, there would have been a pitch and a glacis in front of it anyway.
Yes.
So it wasn't just going to be the stone wall we see today. There would have been, you wouldn't have just run straight up to it and then hit it with your hammer or sword or whatever. You would have had to navigate ditches and the glacis and sharpen stakes and whatever was necessary. Possibly even a curtain wall, but I suppose that would only have been during the larger fortresses.
They would have shot flaming arrows, the attackers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, flaming arrows are really shitty for using for using anti-personnel, but I suppose against a horde of wild Scotsmen, the idea has some merit. Just for it wouldn't it probably wouldn't exactly be discipline that would torture them a lot. So anything to break up that would have helped. That's probably also why the Romans dared to rely on walls instead of a more mobile defense, simply because they weren't really afraid of what was going to come at them was a structured, disciplined army.
Or even an army with like trebuchets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so on. The Romans in that aspect, Jesus, they were fucking ingenious.
Yes, it had been 60 years since Masada at this time, after all, which was probably one of the two greatest Roman siege battles of all time.
Exactly, yeah.
What's interesting, of course, that it's called Hadrian's Wall, because it was probably actually ordered under Emperor Trajan. But that's just my little bit of fun. It was built under Hadrian, but I don't think he actually ordered the damn thing built. It doesn't fit the timeline.
Here, defensive strategy, where the walls, where the stables, etc. Where they are discovering a hell of a lot of interesting stuff is in the actual cesspits and rubbish dumps.
Well, that's how it almost always is, isn't it?
Well,
I'm historian. You're the archaeologist here, but as far as I know, that's usually a very good place to have findings.
Yes, but not in all cases. Some cases, for example, wells are also awesome places to find lots of stuff. Apart from drinking the water, they would dispose of a lot of shit down wells.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually meaning literal shit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
For example, I'll give you an example of where was it? I think it may have been Pompeii. All Roman towns, as you know, had the brothels.
Yeah, of course.
And the patron god of brothels was Priapus.
Yes.
I love that god. He's my. Whenever I say praise be or whatever, I always say Priapus because he's.
Well, he would probably
awesome.
he probably would help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, the prostitutes would regularly get pregnant, and there was a lot of infanticide going on.
Yeah, and, I would imagine.
And evidence of that were in one. I think it was. This is out of memory, by the way, but I know that there's. I've seen a documentary on BBC. I might even have it. Oh, it was Mary Beard. She did a documentary on that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and also one of the Monty Pythons, the Welsh one, Jones.
That would be Terry Jones, probably.
Terry Jones, him. He also did a series on Rome and sex and all that shit.
Yeah.
And that's where I got it. That's where I got the evidence. They found in wells or the bottom of wells, lots of, and in ditches, canals and all, etc. Baby bones, children.
Yeah.
That were
Not surprised.
They kept the females. Patriarchy bullshit. They kept the females and killed the males.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah,
I know. I'm not surprised, honestly.
So
because especially if they were in brothels, because the girls can grow up and
grow up and exactly. So,
keep working, basically.
So I think we can wrap this up. If you want to talk about something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting article, but the thing is, it doesn't actually say what is really interesting is that it basically confirms what we have thought for quite a while regarding the structure of the defenses. But other than that, there isn't really that much about it because it fits Roman defensive strategies. Romans hated being on the defensive. But
exactly, yeah.
When they had to, this would be how they would do it, basically. To annoy their enemies enough that they wouldn't be structured and disciplined when the actual legion showed up to kick their ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you notice this picture that I have here at the moment, you can see two measurement sticks. Each one is a meter long.
Yeah.
So you can see
That
how
sounds
wide
about
the
right.
wall was here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've used it. I even have one. I had one made.
Oh, no.
So yeah, because I have one and I have some archaeological instrument things to dig. It's just trolls and shit.
Yeah,
Nothing. You buy them in the hardware store, and you can see the structures here. So where I have shit. Why am I not sharing this? Should be sharing. Oh, there it is. When I speak, it goes weird. Which are the inside. Yep, and the other one on the other side on the outside.
Yeah.
The photograph is taken from an angle, so never trust. Basically, the red part is pointing to north
Mm-hmm.
on this part,
Yeah.
I think. And the walls weren't that wide.
No, of course they weren't. But
Notice
I
that.
mean,
Do you know why they weren't wide? Because the Picts didn't have trebuchets and stuff like
yeah,
that will
yeah,
bring down walls.
yeah,
So a wall like that, I can guarantee you, would be built in a season of about 3 months.
probably.
Uh,
Probably.
s-
As far as
my
I can
house,
recall, the entire wall was built in about 3 years.
exactly. So you can see how fast these balls were, because they're not that difficult to construct. You have the outer really straight bits, so they wouldn't grapple and that. But then you fill it up in the middle with anything you have.
Yeah, gravel,
Uh,
so on.
yeah, I've actually excavated a wall like that.
Oh, nice. Where?
So here in
Oh,
Portugal,
okay.
it was built. The bottom layer was pre-Roman, then you had Roman, and then Christian on top.
Yeah,
Christian
but
bit was just a chapel, because it was a temple actually. So yeah.
but I mean that's basically the point about any wall. It was very rare actually to build defensive walls that was solid all the way through.
Mm.
Just because moving rocks of that caliber was not the easiest part in the world.
No, it isn't. Yeah. So let's. I think we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
Just stop sharing this. And what do you reckon about the Berkeley riots?
Ah, yes, the fourth Battle of Berkeley. I noticed that both sides what I primarily noticed is that both sides committed terribly tactical mistakes. That probably shows a bit about how much of a nerd I am regarding
And
military
me.
tactics.
No, you're
But
not.
but I just noticed that both of the fighting sides committed some really terrible tactical mistakes in how they lined up and how they fought, considering the weapons available to them. But basically, honestly, I have said this before. I don't know exactly how it was in Portugal, but I have said this before. Antifa or whatever you want to call it. Americans are lucky they haven't met it before now, because we have basically had it in Europe, at least in Scandinavia, for the last 20 years or so. So
we don't have that. We've hated so much fascism and anything.
yeah,
We know that they're also fascists, so we don't
yeah.
want them there. Yeah.
Our Antifa thing in Scandinavia has basically caused about $1 billion in property damage during various riots and demonstrations over the last 20 years in Copenhagen, and no one has really ever, sort of dealt with them. Yeah, the police have been there and they have done some arrests, and they have been let go to be ready for the next time around. So basically, I'm just happy someone actually stood up to them and sent them packing. If I have to be honest, I don't particularly like large riots and street fightings, because I don't think it's a good thing for a democracy. But if it absolutely had to happen, I'm happy that someone dared to stand up to them and actually give them a fight.
Yeah, and even those, the one that gave them a fight, they were quite soft.
Yeah. I mean, there was no real weapon involved.
No.
Well, Antifa were the ones who used weapons. The other side basically seemed to have had sticks and
Jesus, I shared a video of this guy was talking, or sort of pointing. This guy comes, you know, those U-locks, the ones that you
Yeah.
lock your motorbike. He slammed it in his head. Fuck.
Jesus.
That guy had a tough skull.
Yeah, I would imagine. And of course, there's the girl who got her face punched. The now famous.
There's also a video where she's confronting. It may not been her, but it damn looked.
I don't think it's her. I think it was someone else. But I mean, on her Facebook, that chick had apparently, I'm going there to bring back 100 scalps or whatever.
Scalps.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, okay, what you got was a punch in the nose that probably broke your nose. So.
Oh no! It didn't.
It
didn't break her nose. No. I saw he missed the nose. I think he got more of the cheek.
Yeah, probably. It would also explain why she wasn't bleeding.
Yeah, and he only just threw one punch. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, but apparently the guys who found her porn site also found a measurement. She's about 5 foot nothing and weighing 98 pounds.
Yeah, she's a fucking.
So weakling. I mean, it's not as if there's a lot of meat behind.
No, but you see what I mean? He was big. He was a moron. I abhor violence. That kind of violence.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. If he should go to jail, she should go to jail as well because she provoked him. She got punched in the face. Fuck her. She deserved it.
I agree.
It's like the Antifa are like the Muslims fleeing the Syrian or fleeing those conflict zones. They send the men and leave the women back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's the same
that's true.
Cowardly bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, Antifa is a bunch of cowardly bullshitters. Let's face facts.
They are, yes.
Because let's face it. I think it was Sargon who originally dubbed them cosplaying as anarchists. And a lot of them are cosplaying as anarchists, and because they basically have, bravery in numbers, bravery in overwhelming force and power.
I've seen
because a lot of them aren't actually that committed, probably, to the real
They're not.
to the real, movement
Black
of
bloc,
violence. Yeah.
I saw a video where 12. What were they? They were basically English skinheads.
Yeah.
Stand up to 100 of them of
Yeah.
Antifa in one of the British cities. can't remember now.
Well, I wouldn't want to stand up to 5 British skinheads, by the way.
Exactly.
Those
12 of
fuckers
them
know
stood
how
up
to-
to
those
100. The
fuckers know how to
cops
fight.
the cops literally saved the Antifa
Yeah.
by scurrying them away.
Yeah. I would imagine, because that would probably have caused some issues, I would think.
Yes. God, yeah.
If I have to be honest, yeah, that could have been scary. I don't know. I have very little to say about this. I don't like riots. I don't like major street fights. But again, if there was supposed to be a major street fight, I'm happy that that Antifa lost, because I'm not really afraid of the five members of the American Nazi Party. I am afraid of the 10,000 Antifa supporters. Not 10,000 that would actually come out in Antifa, but 10,000 that would create their support network all over the various universities.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And they don't realize that they are the Nazis.
Of course they are. They're the brown shirt or black shirts of their day. More specifically.
Okay, I think it's quite okay. I've taken up enough of your time. I know you're very busy, and it's an honor having you on, man.
Yeah, always fun.
Of course, I sort of stopped doing political commentary videos because, God, I'm just rehashing a lot of stuff that better people than I cover.
That's basically what I said. I originally planned for my channel to be sort of a mix of what I do now, that is the history stuff, and political commentary. But then I realized nothing I would say would match up to some of the stuff being said by others. So I basically feel, well, let's do the thing that actually interests me, and kind of feel like that's a good idea always.
Please make more videos on the Vikings. I love the Vikings.
Oh, I am going to make more videos on the Vikings. Believe me.
Awesome. That's great to see. I love that your shows, man.
Thank you.
And also your
So
trip to
nice.
America was really interesting.
Yeah, that was the first one. I've done 7, so I'll move on. I just need to get to finish up next time and then move on to the actual interesting one, because this was 17 years ago and we didn't really experience that much.
Uh-huh.
So when we get to the more modern ones, where it's about a month traveling coast to coast, or 3 weeks scouring around the western national parks and so on and so forth, there's going to be a lot more actual interesting anecdotes going around, because I actually remember what the hell happened.
That is cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you again for coming on.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to put the link, your channel and YouTube, Twitter link. I have them both, so I don't have to bother you saying them.
Thank you, sir.
No, thank you for coming on. You provided a really good insight into Rome. I hate and like Rome. I love Rome, but I also hate it.
Of course. Of course.
Everyone does. I have a 35% Roman DNA in me.
Yeah. No. Oh, you had the test taken.
Yes.
Perhaps.
I'll tell you my
All right.
composition. 45% Celtic, native. My
seems
35%
decent.
Roman. Yeah. 18% Germanic.
Yeah.
Because we had the Swabians, the Visigothic, the Goths,
Yeah.
the Visigoths, and the Vandals come by here, and 3.5% Neanderthal, and about 0.5% undescribed, possibly some North African and so on, but they're just negligible.
I was about to say that's not a lot of more.
No, I live in a
very
I live in a very isolated area of Portugal, so
yeah. Probably that's why.
Yeah.
I would have thought there would have been something, but I mean, it of course depends on whether or not there were actually anyone around.
Oh, they were here where I live. We have megalithic tombs from the Chalcolithic to the Iron Age.
Yeah.
We have a village and more or less Moorish. This was already independent of the Moors. We have kicked them out after the Reconquista. A castle that was possibly built in 900s, 850, 900s. So the first phase.
Yeah. So yeah, just as the Reconquista sort of picked up steam, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
So so we have a lot of history and prehistory where I live.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for being on here. Everyone, check out
Sage Kronsell. That's my term.
And his channel on YouTube. I'll put them in the link in the description. He's awesome in history and stuff. So
I'll do a Battle of the Catalonian Fields next time, if you know what it is.
What period?
400s. It's the battle. It's the great battle between the Roman Goth coalition against the Huns and their armies. According to legends, it's the biggest battle ever fought. All things considered. If insofar as people are right, and no one knows if people are right, they say more than 300,000 people died in it. That's absolutely wrong, because there's no way that many forces was involved. But more specifically, people think that maybe 30,000 people died in that battle, and we're not talking about guns and gunpowder here. We're talking about people hitting each other with large swords.
Swords and arrows and
30 people died in about an 8-hour period. It was really, really, really special.
Well, awesome. I will look forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone, good night, and see you next week.
Night.